Hi everyone, Mendokichi here. If you're new here, I do cosplays and make my own costumes. You can check out my Instagram for cosplay updates. In today's video, I will be showing you guys how I made Gojo Wakana's outfit from My Dress Up Darling. The outfit that I'm talking about is this and this. It's called the Samue. So it originated from the Zen monks and is now used at home or as workshop clothes or even used in temples and hotels. So Samue is a little bit different from jinbei. If you guys have heard of jinbei, they look the same, but jinbei is specifically a short set and the Samue has pants. I am making this outfit because I will be doing a My Dress Up Darling cosplay at the convention this July. The convention that I'm talking about is ACX, Anime Cosplay Expo, and I will be attending day 2. So I'll see you guys there if you ever go there. Also, just a disclaimer, I have no intentions of mocking or disrespecting a traditional Japanese clothing. The pattern that I used is from an actual Japanese Samue, but the sewing methods are all from my own assumption. This tutorial is for costume purposes only. I wish I could buy an authentic Samue here in the Philippines, but since I can't, I decided to make one instead. So here's the pattern that I got on the internet. I'll also put the link below so you guys can check it out. This pattern looks overwhelming at first, but if you have like background in technical drawings or AutoCAD, it's quite easy to decipher. But if you guys are new to this, I will try to explain how I drafted this. So let's get into the video. For the pattern, I used this book as reference for all the parts that I would need. Then I also found this detailed pattern online, complete with the measurements in centimeters. This is the fabric that I used. And oh, I washed my wigs, so I'm drying it over there. So let's get back to my pattern. I folded the fabric so that the print of the denim is vertical. So I wanted these lines to appear vertical instead of horizontal. Always keep this in mind when you're cutting a fabric with visible patterns. To start with the pattern, I used a triangle ruler at one corner of the fabric. This is to create a perfect 90-degree angle for the corner, which will be my basis for uneven and straight lines. Find the measurement on the pattern that has a 90-degree angle as well and start measuring from there. In this case, it is this part right here. The pattern doesn't have a seam allowance, so be sure to add that. Just continue following the measurements of the pattern and you'll get a result similar to this. So this is the back side and the front side. Make sure that the fabric is folded before cutting it. This is what they look like laid out. I also cut out 4 strips of the ties for the top. Next is cutting out the sleeves. I made the pattern using the same method I mentioned earlier, and I keep the lines on the denim in vertical position. I also folded the fabric, and now here's the sleeves. Next is cutting out the pants. Vertical lines should be consistent in all the patterns. So this is the front and back pieces of the pants. I cut it folded so that I have 2 pieces of each. Then I also cut out these pockets. Oh, and this is what my room looks like now. I finally fixed the lights and repainted the walls. It's tiny, but I have a huge desk. I also keep my lights on the windows. Ta-da! And I got some organizers, but I don't plan to organize the things inside. I just need a place to keep all my mess. And I was looking for my blue thread. Okay, there it is. It's a little too light for the fabric, so I decided to use the black thread instead. What do you guys think? Okay, time to sew the top. First, I'm sewing together the shoulder part, wrong sides facing each other.
After that, I'm going to flip it and then sew it again. This time, right sides facing each other. This is to hide the raw edges. After sewing that, I did the same with the sleeves, connecting it on this part. Fit check. Next is sewing the strips using this method. I call it the lazy method because you don't need to flip it inside out. So I just keep folding it as I sew, and here it is. So this is how it's going to be placed on the top. One side is going inside and the other is going outside. So I just pin the outside strip here and then sewing the whole side part of the top. So here it is now. Next is sewing the other side. I didn't sew the tie with this and you'll see later. Oh, and I also hemmed the sleeves after that. Next is hemming this part. And then to do the collar part, I ironed the long strip in half. Oh, I don't think I included this in the pattern earlier. Basically, it's 9 centimeters by whatever length the whole collar part is. Mine was around 150 centimeters. After ironing it in half, I'm gonna iron a small fold on the edges and then iron all of them again. So then it's time to pin it. I'm just gonna sew it around like so. Then I lay it flat and folded everything in place. I also didn't cut off the extra fabric because I used it as reinforcement since my fabric is already too soft. Here it is pinned. Now I'm just gonna sew it around. I also attached the strip inside the top and also on the ends of the collar. Going to the pants, I cut out these pieces for the zipper. First, I sewed this piece on one side. And then on the front side of the pants, I placed the other piece here and sewed the edges. I will be putting a link below so you can check out a more detailed tutorial for this. Then I'm gonna sew it flat. Next is I'm adding the zipper. I don't know how to explain it, so just watch how I do it in the video. Next, I took the other side of the pants and folded it to sew on top of the zipper. Then I'm folding the pieces to sew the crotch area. I reinforced my stitching with a zigzag stitch. Next is sewing this part. And my zipper is done. Now I'm gonna sew the pockets. And then sewing the back part of the pants on the bum area first and then adding the other pair of pockets. So after that, I just laid my front and back pieces right sides facing each other and then sewing along these sides. I'm leaving the top and bottom part open. Then I'm sewing the pocket pieces onto the front side of the pants to keep them in place. Next is sewing the bottom hem. So I left one side open and this is the outer side of the leg. Keep a hole open because this is where we will insert a tie. So this is the tie. I used my lazy method for this. And now we can put it inside the hem, like this one. For the waistband, I cut out these pieces. For the longer strip, I folded both ends and sewed them. Then I placed it on top of the smaller piece and then sewed only this much. I made sure to leave this part open. I ironed them like I did on the collar, half and then a small fold on the edges. I pinned it around the waist of the pants and the opening should face the front of the pants. Then I'm just gonna sew everything in place. The last part would be sewing the buttons. I just used this setting on my sewing machine. Oh, also the holes in my waistband is for this drawstring to tighten the pants.
1, 2, 3, funk it.
So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this and hopefully you learned something. If you do try this out, please tag me on my Instagram so that I can also check it out. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.